Now, a while back, I've talked about this message by Below Natural on the Discord server. Now, this is Below Natural. Due to an issue in 2023, he got his account banned and he had to make a new one. But trust me when I say that this is Below Natural. So here, he would say, I don't know when, but down the line, anyone with these will get a reward based off their objectives. The rewards in question, or the objectives in question, are the Augmenting Gladiator badge, the Hidden badge, and the Summer 2019 badge. Now, these are badges that were made in 2019. The Hidden badge was made in 2019, but it was all maintainable all the way up until the Solar Eclipse event in 2021. Meanwhile, the Augmenting Gladiator badge, that was only available for the Sword Fight on the Heights event, also known as the Gladiator event, which was the first event to be added to Tower Defense Simulator on the 24th of June 2019 to the 13th of October 2019, and for the Summer 2019 event, that's actually the Area 51 event. The only reason why it's called the Summer 2019 event is because the developers renamed the Area 51 event Triumph badge to Summer 2019, and in fact this wasn't the original name for it. I believe the original name for this was actually Triumph Area 51, much like how the original name for this badge was actually Triumph The Heights. The only reason why they changed names is because when event badges were listed here, they had to be in event order and had to give some indication of the events. Now, I believe the event badges were taken off sale because it actually cluttered up this page too much and people weren't seeing the badges that they could actually get, and I don't know if that affected it too much, but event badges were renamed and then taken off the homepage, but they still exist and Below Natural can track how many people have the badge. Which is why, back in 2021, the 31st of May 2021, he said that anyone with these badges would get a reward based off their objectives. Now, in the case for the Hidden badge, we actually did get a reward for it. Now, I'll be honest, it's not much of an award, but it is a reward nevertheless. Namely, it is the glitchy name tag that you can't even get anymore because it doesn't come with the modern Hidden Wave. It only appears for if you triumphed the original Hidden Wave back before 2021, the 2019 to 2021 version. This was added, I believe, in 2023. It might be 2022 actually. But either case, you got this reward after the badge was discontinued. So Below Natural did actually keep its promise for one of the badges. However, as for the other two badges, you still don't get anything other than the event tower, which is an issue because the developers have started to sell the event towers. In fact, since 2019, they have sold every single event tower in Tower Defense Simulator, others more so than some, but this includes the Commando Tower, which the Commando Tower was the only event tower not to have a Game Pass when the event was active, and it got its Game Pass in 2025 when the developers decided to rework the Commando Tower. I lied, it was 2024, but it's very, very close to 2025, in my mind at least. So 27th of November, like, it's 2025. As for the Gladiator badge, well, that actually hasn't gone on sale quite recently, actually, because the Gladiator sort of has had a decline, but it has had sales since its first release in 2019. Now, out of these badges, the only badge that technically couldn't say whether or not you were an OG that played the game at the time was the Gladiator badge, given the fact that at the time of the Gladiator's badge, there was a Gladiator Game Pass, which you could have also bought instead of the Gladiator badge. And there is no way of telling if you bought the Gladiator badge in 2019, the only way to tell if you were a 2019 player is if you actually beat the event back then. Now actually, a Swordmaster skin for the Gladiator Tower has been speculated since like 2019, and for a couple of years actually, before Below Natural did say something about a Gladiator Swordmaster skin. The only problem is, his account is deleted so I can't trawl through his messages, but believe me, trust me, Below Natural did say something about a classic skin for the Gladiator, aka a Swordmaster skin for the Gladiator. As for the Commando Tower, nothing was said about the Commando Tower actually. In the same relation to the Gladiator getting a Swordmaster skin, there was some speculation that the Commando would get a Raider Boss skin, and given the fact that the Commando would get redesigned to something that's not exactly very similar to the Raider Boss back in the day, some people have speculated that now this gives the developers an opportunity to add a classic skin that is attached to the Commando badge. And yes, it's true that Below Natural promised this in 2021. However, that doesn't mean it's going to happen in 2025 because, let's be real, any promises made before at least 2024, they're probably not going to be added anymore. Like, for example, back in the day, back in 2020, when the Archer was first to be reworked, it said, or Below Natural said, that there would be exclusive skins for the Archer Tower which would change the projectiles that shoot out. So, for example, there might be like a Halloween skin that shoots out fire arrows, and then a winter skin that shoots out freezing arrows. And that never came to fruition. And people were still speculating about that until like 4 years after Below Natural said that, even though pretty sure he cancelled it. It's the same for this promise. Everyone goes back to that comment by Below Natural saying that yes, we will get a skin for the Commander badge and for the Gladiator badge, but that was from 2021, and I don't know if Below Natural remembers it. That being said though, he did say like the Hacker Tower would be coming out soon in 2020, and that would actually be the case. Yeah, the Hacker Tower would eventually be added, so maybe the developers are actually going back on their promises and actually doing it. Then again though, I think there are a lot more towers that the community would want to have a classic skin for to prove that you're around. Stuff in the name of the likes of the Archer, stuff in the names of the likes of the Frostblaster, given the fact that it is on sale, and it was on sale as a Game Pass recently. Hell, even like the Swarmer, for example, since that was also on sale quite recently. However, you have to come over the fact that the Swarmer and the Frostblaster do not currently have any skins for them. Like, I guess you could make some sort of classic skin for them. Like, the Swarmer does have a slightly different skin to what it did previously. Like, it had a entire white outfit compared to the beige outfit that it has here, and the Frostblaster slightly darker than its original outfit. So if there was to be a classic skin for the Frostblaster and the Swarmer, could just be an easy recolor and just say, yep, here's the proof that you're a classic player. And to be fair, that is enough for some players to be raged over the Triumphant Hacker being an exclusive skin, because it just got changed into piss coloured compared to the Fallen Hacker. The Fallen Hacker is literally the I say recolored version of the Triumphant Hacker. The Triumphant Hacker is the recolored version of the Fallen Hacker. But I mean, as for the Gladiator, people would want a Swordmaster skin for it. Unfortunately, even if there was a Swordmaster skin that was made for the Gladiator back in 2021, it probably wouldn't be ideal to add for it right now. And as for the Commando Tower, a classic skin for it, like the Raider Boss back in the day, probably would be ideal for it, but then again, effort. You also have to remember that the badges for these towers aren't actually in the game, and aren't actually, well, they're in the game, yes, as a part of the game page, but they're not linked to the game. So that means that if you were to be, for some reason, stat wiped for your entire account in Tower Defense Simulator, and then you were to rejoin afterwards, you would get the badges for the Toxic Gunner, like the Slasher, I believe, and maybe the Jester, and the Sledger. You would get those towers back because they're attached to the badge currently in the game, but you wouldn't get the Gladiator or the Commander Tower back. I know this because some people have complained that they didn't get the Gladiator and Commando towers back after they quit Tower Defense Simulator for like 5 years and then rejoined quite recently. I'd have to say that there was an issue with data storage issues, or when developers, they may have moved over data storage stuff in like 2021 or 2022. I believe it was like some period between the Overhaul update in 2020 and the Frost Invasion update in 2021, or the Solar Eclipse update, and in that time the developers messed around with it. So if you didn't log in during that set period of time between 2021 and 2020, it would mean that your account would lose these towers and you wouldn't be able to get them back, even though you have the Gladiator badge and you have the Commando badge. So the developers would need to re-add these towers back in to the code, as in they would need to re-add their badge into the underlying code so that they would automatically give out these towers to the players, and they would also give out a skin for these players to get the classic skins or whatever skin they propose for it. Then, to be fair, this isn't actually new. For example, the Executioner, technically, that has a skin which denotes whether you're an, quote, OG player or not. That is, the Eclipse Executioner. Now, it's not necessarily an achievement skin, because you could have also bought the Executioner through a Game Pass and you would have also got this skin. However, what's unique about this is that if you owned the Executioner before the 24th of November 2023, then you automatically got the skin. This could be through Game Passes, and I believe the Executioner had 2 sales before this period. The 24th of November 2022 and the 24th of November 2023. The 24th of November 2023, that's the period when you couldn't get the Eclipse Executioner, but you could get it in 2022, even though it was a year after it was first added to the game. Which meant that technically, while this isn't a badge-related tower, you didn't need the Solar Eclipse badge to get the Executioner tower. You could have gotten the Game Pass, and you had to be, quote, before 2023, so effectively in this case, before 2022, or 2021 basically, to earn the Eclipse Executioner skin. And as far as I'm aware, this is the only skin in Tower Defense Simulator which, quote, denotes whether you're an OG or not, and a proper OG, even though I'd probably argue that anyone who plays after 2021 maybe isn't considered like a veteran player. That's a conversation for another time. How OG must you be to be considered an OG? In any case, many people would like to see stuff like the Eclipse Executioner skin be rewarded to players with like the badge from back in the day. So, could be possible. And given the fact that Below Natural is proposing an idea where they reintroduce some old events to Tower Defense Simulator, that could be a way to alleviate some of the, quote, veterans, players' concerns that, you know, they're stealing content from back in the day and then forcing it upon new players for all in the pursuit of money. A reward to denote the fact that you are from that era could be a way to alleviate that. And I'll be quite honest, most people from back in the day are actually quite on board with this. People wouldn't mind a, well, veteran or OG skin to show that you're from that period. And when the news of a classic skin for the Gladiator Tower was released, many people from back in the day were excited. But then, of course, you get the people who weren't playing the game back in the day being upset about the fact that they couldn't get a skin. That's going to be a debate whether this feature is added or not, and is probably continuing to be a debate about this feature being added or not. But hey, I'm just reporting on the news, and I think, no bias whatsoever, because I have the badges. To clarify, I've been playing since basically the start. I've been playing since at least the end of June 2019, which is when Tower Defense Simulator first released, which was mid-June. I think it should be added into the game, which would mess up some people who are completionists in Tower Defense Simulator, because it is an arbitrary starting date that you are getting skins if you didn't play the event back in the day. But then again, you had until the 13th of October 2019 to get the badges for the Heights and the Area 51 event. So you did have plenty of time back in the day. And I realised some people were embryos back then, so they couldn't have gotten it. Oh well, it is what it is. You can't please everyone. And in this case, you're either pleasing the veterans or you're not. I think they should be added.